Have you ever sat down at a dinner table and wondered why lamb tastes so different from beef? They may both come from farm animals, but the flavor, texture, and even the way we cook them can feel completely different. In this video, you're going to learn the real difference between sheep meat and cow meat. We'll break it down in a simple way, so by the end, you'll understand what makes each one unique, from how it's raised to how it tastes on your plate. Whether you enjoy steak, lamb chops, or maybe both, this video will help you see meat in a whole new way. Let's start with the most basic question. How are these animals different, and why does that matter? Sheep and cattle may both be farm animals, but their bodies and lifestyles are very different. These differences play a big role in how their meat develops. Sheep are smaller animals, and they grow and mature more quickly than cattle. Most sheep are raised for multiple purposes, like meat, wool, and sometimes milk. Because sheep are lighter and more agile, they graze differently and eat more leafy plants and shrubs. Cattle, on the other hand, are much larger and take longer to reach full body size. They're mainly raised for meat and milk, though in some places they're also used for farm work. Since cows weigh more and grow slower, their muscles become thicker and develop differently. Even what the animals eat affects their meat. Sheep usually eat grass and plants from pastures, which gives their meat a stronger flavor. Cattle may eat grass, grains, or a mix of both, which can change the taste and fat content of beef. So, while both animals live on farms, their size, growth speed, and diet shape the meat they produce. Now that you understand the animals themselves, let's look at how age affects the type of meat we eat. Age plays a surprising role in how meat tastes, feels, and is labeled. With sheep, the name of the meat changes as the animal gets older. Meat from young sheep is called lamb, and it's known for being tender with a mild flavor. As sheep get older, the meat becomes darker, tougher, and stronger in taste. Meat from adult sheep is called mutton, and it's popular in places where people enjoy rich, bold flavors. Cattle are different. No matter the age, the meat is called beef. However, there is one exception. Meat from very young cattle is called veal. Veal is softer and lighter because the animal hasn't developed strong muscles yet. Regular beef, which comes from older cattle, has a deeper flavor and firmer texture. Age also affects color and fat. Younger animals usually have lighter meat and softer fat. Older animals develop darker meat because their muscles have worked longer. Their fat becomes thicker and sometimes takes on flavor from what they eat. So age doesn't just change the name, it changes the taste, texture, and how the meat cooks. Now that we know how age affects the meat, let's explore what gives these two meats such different flavors and textures. One of the biggest differences between sheep meat and cow meat is how they taste and feel when you eat them. Beef usually has a rich, mild flavor that many people recognize. The fat in beef melts easily when cooked, which helps make steaks and roasts tender and juicy. Lamb and mutton have a much stronger flavor. Many people describe lamb as slightly sweet and grassy, while mutton has a bold, gamey taste. This stronger flavor comes from a special type of fat found in sheep called branched-chain fatty acids. These fats melt at a higher temperature, so when cooked, they create a stronger smell and taste. Texture also plays a role. Beef muscle fibers are bigger and thicker, which can make the meat chewy if it isn't cooked correctly. That's why beef cuts like ribeye or tenderloin are popular. They're softer and easier to eat. Lamb meat has smaller muscle fibers, making it naturally tender when the sheep is young. But as the animal ages and becomes mutton, those muscles grow stronger and the meat becomes tougher unless it's slow cooked. Because of these differences, people often choose cooking styles that match the meat. For example, steaks are great cooked fast on a grill, while lamb and mutton often taste best when roasted or slow cooked with spices. Now that you understand flavor and texture, let's take a closer look at nutrition, because many people wonder which meat is actually healthier. When it comes to nutrition, both beef and sheep meat are packed with important nutrients your body needs. Both meats are excellent sources of high-quality protein, which helps build and repair muscles. They also provide valuable minerals like iron, zinc, and selenium, which support your blood, immune system, and overall health. Beef usually contains a little more fat and calories than lamb, especially if it comes from grain-fed cattle. However, lamb often contains more omega-3 fatty acids, especially when the sheep are raised on grass. Omega-3s are the same heart-healthy fats found in fish, which may make lamb a better choice for healthier fat. Both meats also include B vitamins, especially vitamin B12, which is important for brain function and energy. So from a nutrition point of view, both meats can be part of a healthy diet. But how you cook the meat matters too. Grilling, roasting, or baking often makes the meal healthier because extra fat melts away. Frying, however, can add more calories and reduce some nutrients. So, instead of asking which meat is good or bad, it's better to think about portion size, how often you eat it, and how it's cooked. Now that we've compared nutrition, let's explore another important topic: how farming and the environment play a role in these meats. Both animals require land, food, and water to grow, but the amount and type of resources they need are different. Cattle usually need much more space and water than sheep. Because cows are large animals, they eat more feed and can take longer to reach market weight. In many countries, cattle are raised in feedlots where they eat grains to grow faster, but this system can produce more greenhouse gases, especially methane. Sheep are smaller and more flexible animals. They can graze in places where crops can't grow, such as rocky hills, dry grasslands, or steep mountain slopes. This makes sheep useful in areas where farming cattle is difficult or expensive. Sheep also tend to require less feed, which means they can have a lower environmental footprint depending on the farming style. However, the impact isn't always simple. Large sheep farms can also produce methane and can harm the land if grazing isn't managed carefully. The environment benefits most from farms that use good practices like rotational grazing and regenerative agriculture. So the environmental difference doesn't come down to just the animal, it also depends on how the farm is managed. Now that you understand how farming plays a role, let's talk about something you may notice at the grocery store: the price and how culture affects what people choose to eat. When you look at meat in a store or restaurant, you may notice a big difference in price between beef and lamb. Beef is often cheaper and easier to find because cattle farming is done on a much larger scale in many parts of the world. Countries like the United States, Brazil, and Australia produce huge amounts of beef every year, which helps keep prices steady. Lamb, on the other hand, is usually more expensive. Sheep farming is often smaller and more seasonal, especially in places where sheep depend on grass growth. This gives lamb a more premium image, and many people enjoy it during special events or holidays. Culture also plays a big role in what people prefer. In places like the Middle East, North Africa, and parts of Europe, lamb and mutton are very common and loved for their bold flavor. In India and Pakistan, mutton is often used in curries and slow-cooked dishes. Meanwhile, in North and South America, beef is more popular and is part of everyday meals like burgers and steaks. Some religions also shape demand. For example, cows are sacred in Hindu culture, so beef is avoided by many people in India. In parts of the world where pork is avoided, lamb and beef become important protein sources instead. So, the meat you see most often depends on where you live, your traditions, and the farming systems around you. Now that we've compared everything from flavor to farming, let's bring all the pieces together. You discovered how the animals themselves are different, how age changes the meat, and why lamb, mutton, beef, and veal taste the way they do. You also learned how nutrition, farming systems, and even culture shape how we enjoy these meats across the world. So the next time you choose between a steak and a lamb chop, you'll understand what makes each one special. Maybe you'll look at lamb and think about its stronger flavor and healthy fats. Or maybe you'll enjoy beef for its familiar taste, tenderness, and cooking style. Both meats have their own history, value, and purpose. And now, you can make your choice not just with your stomach, but with knowledge. If you enjoyed learning about these differences and want to explore more comparisons like this, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves meat as much as you do. Because the more you understand where your food comes from, the better every meal becomes.